Talking About My Generation, the podcast with Lee Scriven and Del Bromham.
Hello and welcome to Talking About My Generation, another fine episode that we have for you. And I'm really pleased, lastminute.com, to get one of my, a great friend and someone I've got a lot of admiration for because he's helped me personally in the past, Mr. Pete Lockwood.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Hiya, Pete. For those who,
afternoon.
For those all around the world who listen, I got to say a quick thank you. Went to a wedding, lovely family wedding at the weekend. Can't beat a family wedding. The kids were absolutely on fire. They made the mistake of having a sweet stall, and if you know my grandchildren, if you give them sugar,
lovely.
They're gone. You know what I mean? It's like, yay. And I don't know, it's just something nice about just seeing kids running riot at a wedding, because it's right, isn't it? And these people who ban kids from weddings thinking, no, that's what weddings are all about. You can't dance without them running into you. I think my nephew, Ollie, he ran into a waitress, knocked all her drinks over, then they got to get the ice out because he nearly broke his nose. And that was fantastic. Great
I used to love that in the clubs and that, or if you played at a wedding, the kids, wherever you went, the kids always did the thing on their knees.
Peter Kay did that, didn't they? Did a brilliant routine about that. Yeah, so that was nice. But the reason I've mentioned the wedding, because you're probably not too interested in the wedding, was that I actually met some of our international listeners over from Toronto, and that was a bit strange. I was just talking to my brother, and then these guys, sort of a guy and a lady, a couple of couples, sort of just come over and said, "Oh, Lee, we're looking forward to meeting you because we really like your podcast." It's like, really? Someone locally, you expect it, but you don't expect it. Just shows you.
Actually, yeah. I mean, I've been doing my shows lately. People have been saying, "Oh, listen to the podcast; it's great." And you sort of go, you're sitting in here doing it. We're thinking like it's a couple of blokes having a chat, and everyone else is, "Oh, that's interesting." But you know,
there you go. It's nice to know. Pete, you may have had a listen, I doubt it, but if you've listened to the podcast before, we have a little session with yourself, asking you about your favourite things and little topics to give the listener an idea of where you are and what you like and that kind of thing. So, first record you ever bought?
First record was...
I think we're going to see it. Yeah, nothing like those who are on Spotify. Pete will describe it now, but there it is.
This is Axis Boulder's Love, and I could only afford the mono edition because that was 30 shillings, and the stereo was 32 and 6. I didn't have the extra 2 and 6, but it's great. And I saw him twice. Saw him at Woburn Festival.
Oh, you were there?
I was there as a 15-year-old.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot. I'm thinking you mentioned that to me before. Yeah,
it was a great gig. He didn't set anything on fire. Didn't
just
break
played.
anything.
How many people there, roughly?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that big a...
No, it wasn't Glastonbury, was it?
Yeah, but I've got a poster of it, which is on my daughter's trendy London flat wall now.
Wow.
Yeah, with all the other bands.
And of course, if you listen to episode 1, we spoke about Jimi Hendrix playing that and a certain incident at the Marshall's shop with his fuzz box the day after, we reckon. But if you go back and listen on that. So that's heavy. I mean, most of us are talking, Cliff Richards and Beatles and that, but that's a heavy duty first record. Did your dad approve?
Oh yeah. I mean, he'd already brought us this one, which is Creamed Israeli Gears, and an album I'm very fond of. I think it's still fantastic even today.
So is your dad a jazzer, or was he just into all kinds of music?
He was a jazzer. He was very involved in the stables.
Right.
He used to drive
the early days,
John and Cleo to gigs.
Wow.
And sell their merchandise. But he was always into music.
Get your T-shirts.
Yeah.
Get them on the out.
If you go to the stables, there's the courtyard shop in the corner. That's where he had his shop.
So you grew up with music like me, I think, and Del, all around
the time, yeah. Dave Brubeck, Paul Desmond. That's where I get my sax influences.
Do you think it was your dad, because of the improvisation that these guys were bringing to rock music, that he recognised that in jazz?
Yeah, I think so. I think he just liked it, and He bought Beatles albums.
Yeah, so my dad was more of a straight jazzer. I'm not sure he was into the sort of bebop and big improvisation. He was more into the big band, Buddy Rich, Stan Kenton.
Yeah.
But again, like you, and I know from Dell's past experience, first gig you ever saw. I'm going to come on to the one that I'm going to ask you. It's double-edged question. First gig you ever saw, and then the gig that made you want to become a musician. But the first band you ever saw live.
Oh, crumbs.
Can be
I
anybody.
think it was the Vista Sonics playing in Denby School.
Oh, okay.
Because we were getting a little band together with Bobby Wells and Dave Norman, and Barry Field worked at the school.
Barry, legend.
Before he got the job at the youth club, and he'd invited us to come and see, what a band are like, and that was great. And the guitarist was Phil Burrell, who I later played in Unit 6 with.
Right.
Several decades
And then
later.
the band that made you, Dell cited Terry Reid, I cited Dr. Feelgood, even though I'd seen The Who live. That was my first gig that I'd ever been to at Charlton. But it was when I saw Dr. Feelgood, they made me feel that I can do that and I want to do that. Was there a moment like that for you?
Yeah, probably. It was probably seeing stuff on the telly, because we didn't have a telly. I had to go next door to watch the neighbours' telly, and seeing Ready Steady Go, and the Beatles miming, and I thought I want to do some of that.
Pete used to knock on the door and. He wants another cup of sugar. And I'll get some sugar. Get some fruit and sugar next door.
They're just watching Panorama or Coronation Street, and Pete walks in and puts Ready Steady.
You realise Top of the Pops is on the other side.
Yeah. My last year of junior school, they had a Christmas disco or party, and there was 4 lads got up on stage with cardboard guitars. One of them was Paul Hemming, who's he's gone to Australia now, but he's been in the local music scene for decades, like me. And they were all miming to a Beatles track. I thought, why wasn't I doing that? And that, I think,
and then in a way that inspired you.
That was the thing that got me.
They were on a stage performing, and, even if they weren't. Yeah.
It was so realistic that even one of the cardboard guitars was out of tune.
The last one, I know there's a few more, but I'm trying to do them off memory. One rock star you could bring back, who sadly passed away. We both went for Steve Marriott because we felt that Steve didn't know the love, or wasn't aware of the universal love and appreciation there was for him when he passed. But you can bring anyone back. So who would be your shout?
Well, crumbs, that's a difficult one.
Well,
I think it'd be Jimmy. Jimmy, because he died so young and he never really had a chance to fulfill his potential, like people of the same age who are still playing now and still going making music. Or it'd be George Michael.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I've got a lot of time for George Michael. You like George Michael, Dom?
Great voice, yeah.
What a voice.
Yeah. Great voice.
And apparently a really nice guy as well.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Tim Swell, I think he listens to the podcast. He's one of the top animation title creators in the game. And
he did the one.
And he did the George Michael video, the MTV one with George Bush, which caused a lot of controversy. And they wanted it to, and it hit the bill. But it was. He just said he was just so down to earth, and a great story, because his wife Lisa, which I call the Duchess, she's a northern who she's got class, if you know what I mean. So that's why I call her the Duchess. But he didn't tell her. He knew Tim was working with George Michael, but his little office was out the back, and then they lived in Stony Stratford. And he said, "Oh, do you want a cup of tea?" To George when he come in, and he didn't. And the Duchess has come in from work or shopping with Tesco bags and all that, coming into the kitchen, and then go, and there's George Michael sitting in the kitchen.
Brilliant.
But Tim said he was an absolute diamond guy, and I've seen some documentaries and. That's a good shout, Mr. Lockwood. Yeah. I like that one. Right, we're going to try and be a little bit more on the money here, as in what's going on. This is August. Hopefully this podcast goes out in August, otherwise this is going to kill it. This week, Ringo joined the Beatles, 1962.
Really?
How important? You're a drummer, Pete. We should have pointed out. You're a multi-instrumentalist. You play anything. I mean, from penny whistle to a synthesizer to absolutely anything. But you are a drummer. And you got that bit of a drumming personality in you as well. do you rate Ringo as a drummer? And then Del, how important do you think Ringo was to the Beatles?
I rate Ringo.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the perfect drummer for the Beatles because he wasn't as flash as people like Ian Pace, Ginger Baker, and that. And had they been in the Beatles, they would have spoiled it.
Yeah.
He was perfect for the music.
You Del?
And he's a lot better than
People
technically.
credit for.
Yeah,
I'm going to come on to that.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, every time you hear Ringo play any of those Beatles records, you know it's Ringo Starr. He was. I mean, I think people now don't. Maybe a younger generation don't realise the importance of people like Ringo and like McCartney when he's bass playing.
Yeah.
Because with drumming, very much when I was growing up, in the 60s and that, it was. And all of a sudden you've got this riding thing, and he puts that down to that he left-handed playing right. So he's the wrong way round, and so some of the roles he did, drummers instinctively kind of go da but quite often a Ringo drum roll, the floor is the first one.
Yeah.
So he did and all those little licks, and then same with the bass, but no, Ringo. And I don't know any professional drummers that haven't got regard for him.
No, I think it was all a little bit. I think drummers, probably because you're coming from a jazz generation, did look down on rock and roll drummers. But I think as time progressed, speaking, mean, poor old Dave Clark, he got some stick. But, what a clever man. I think he was a cleverer man than he was as a drummer. But Ringo, I've played Beatles songs live, Pete, and you can back me up here, and you must have as well, but I can't play like Ringo.
No.
Yeah, I mean, when I play it, it's a bit rock and roll, it's a bit ploddy, because he just brings that swing, the hi-hat technique, where it's half on, half. It's just like a ride.
It's all in the body as well.
I've tried to do it, and I just fall over.
It's all in the body doing it.
Lose it completely. But great thing about Beatles is you can play a long time, but you can't play like Ringo. You could probably play like George with the chords and bits and bobs, but you can't get that. And I remember Paul McCartney saying on documentaries that they'd been happy with Pete Best. They were a good band and they were playing and that. But they said they asked Ringo from Rory Storm, wasn't it, and the Hurricanes to come in, and they just said within 2 minutes the three of them all just went, oh.
A good example of that is Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
If any other drummer would have been, I think I'm going to be set, as it would have been at the time. But he's decided to go.
Using the tongue.
Yeah. I mean, U2 have done it to perfection 25 years later, but Ringo was doing it in 65. Probably one of the first rock records ever made.
You listen to those drum breaks on Day in the Life,
Yeah, just feels.
Nobody else would have done it like that. It's
no.
just so understated and so right for the feel of the piece.
And also personality-wise as well. We all been in bands and we can all vouch. Chemistry is everything. You can't. Very, very, very few super groups last or actually reach the potential that you think they're going to think, and it's all down to chemistry. And I just think it's Charlie Watts in the Stones as well. Ringo in the Beatles, and even Keith Moon in the Who. The three drummers. Just provided the all-important chemistry, and I think that he was it's very, very important. So Ringo, we love you. Another day, David Bowie played that famous Rainbow concert in 1972. I was a bit too young to appreciate that at that time. I'm just wondering what you guys felt when Bowie, the Ziggy Stardust, came out. Was you impressed, or just thought it was a publicity stunt, or was you thinking, hang on a minute, this guy's going to go somewhere? I'm just interested to see what both of you thought, because you were around at that time.
Yeah, I wasn't really that into him, because the guy underneath my room at college played Hunky Dory endlessly.
Good man.
When he got to the end, he put it back on at the beginning.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought, I just heard this so many times. But I was doing a teaching practice at this school in Amersham, and every lad there it was an all boys school, and they were all into Bowie, and one of the pupils was Martin Snapes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who we had on last week talking about
we had
Martin on the show last week. Yeah, Delstra, you were sort of rocking then, and looking out of one eye and just think, hang on, who's this guy coming?
I'll be honest with you, I kind of missed it a little bit because my musical taste was far more based on American music at the time, and it seemed like he was playing the Rainbow really quickly, because only a few months before I played a gig at the Torrington, which is near Kingston. And there is quite a well-known advert that crops up every now and then.
Yeah,
it looks like it says David Bowie supporting Stray, but it's not. What it is, he played the pub the week after us, and then about 6 months later, he's decided it's going to be like Spiders from Mars, and he's doing the Rainbow. I don't quite know how it happened that quickly, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it is what we said before, having a good A&R man and getting you on top of the pops.
Yeah.
But I was never, me and my band, I don't think we were kind of, like a conversation we had off a camera just now, we were not revered, but we were looked at by a lot of the music business as, we were like punks, really. We were like the 1970s Sex Pistols, really.
Yeah.
Because, we were just 3 guitars and a singer, and we just went on and gave it some. So, I don't know, it didn't, none of that glam scene really, I wasn't into it at all, and that's when it all started happening, wasn't it?
That was it. Yeah.
Even though I wore my mirror suit at the Reading Festival a couple of years before, Noddy Old had on his hat.
I was going to say it was Dave Hill. Oh no, Noddy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Noddy had his hat. No, I had the mirror suit, and it was. I made it at home. I thought my days of going.
Hang on, let's just slow down a little bit for the listeners. You're at Reading Festival and you've got a suit. Are we talking like a C&A suit, or is it a boiler suit? No. And you've hand put mirrors on it.
Yeah. Because it reminded me of my days at the Hammersmith Palais and watching the Mirror Ball, and we used to use lighting, PA and lighting.
Yeah, but was you on in the afternoon or was you on at night?
We went on just as the lights were, just as it was getting dusk. But the funny thing was, I had an old pair of velvet trousers that I was wearing, and they'd gone a bit bald down the front, so I used them, got the mirrors on them, and I had an Indian shirt and put the mirrors on that. 2 things about that. First of all, when I put my guitar strap on, the weight of the guitar cut into my shoulders, so it cut all my shoulders. The other thing was, the Reading Festival stage is high. I realised when I'd get there, I couldn't bend my legs. I was like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. So I had 2 roadies lifting me up like that. So I did the whole thing.
You should have sent that sketch to Spinal Tap. They would have used that.
Yeah. No, so that was, I made my debut at the Reading Festival looking like the Tin Man.
While he's on stage, you're thinking, Did you think,
I was rock and roll.
I wish I had done this.
Yeah, I'm rock and roll, mate. Yeah, all the way through.
Is there any photos of that? Is there any photos?
Yeah, there's someone actually put a photo of it recently on.
Send me one. I want to see that. I don't think I've seen it. I know. I remember you.
I made 2. I did that, the glass one, and one with Tim 4, which was far more kind to my skin.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the band that Bowie played with at Dingwalls prior to Ziggy, and they all just did it all like Baker and Foyle.
Well, the dark thing was,
Tony Visconti was on bass and all that kind of. And they say, "How was the Angie?" I think it was only Angie and their mates in the audience, but they were all dressed up and they looked absolutely.
Well, we was only 17, 18, 19 years old at the time, and all the music business at the time, because we had the show, we used to put on. Clothes, and we had the lighting, we had pyrotechnics, we had bombs going off.
We had the exploding dustbin as well. Tell the listener about the exploding dustbin while we're here, because this is great. I love this.
People would think we were mad because there was us 4 kids in the dressing room, and we'd be ripping up bits of paper, little squares. And then people think, what are they doing? They've got a strange fetish, haven't they? But we used to get a dustbin from here, there and everywhere, and then put like a paper, like a drum skin over it, and all the bits of paper we'd torn up, we put it on top. There'd be electrical charge inside the dustbin, and at a given point on the last song, it would go off, and it would just snow everywhere. But I mean, you see that now at some of the concerts, all like the confetti.
Yeah.
Well, we had that all those years ago, but the music press, we were kids,
right,
and. We thought in our first couple of albums we were doing sort of quite complicated stuff, time changes and things like this, but we never really got it. It was kind of they're probably a bit young. They probably need need to have all the pyros and that to do it. When we stopped using it, we brought another album out, and all the press started going, well, you know, they're not as good now, they haven't got the pyro, so you just can't win.
We had good hype on the band because, you know, when you came to the youth club, you know, it was an absolute sellout. You know, this the band with the longest hair.
That's right.
And,
well, you must have had that.
All there to
the
loudest band and the longest hair. The youth club was full. Yeah, I was there.
But we had this thing before, but there was all these youth clubs that would spring up around the place, and everyone went there for the music because there's no alcohol.
No, Pete's explained. Yeah, because you're a big part. We've spoken about Bletchley Youth Club. Sounds strange, I suppose, people living in Toronto or Australia were going about a youth club, but it was such an amazing place, as in quick. I mean, you've got the original tickets, and I suppose we're talking about bands that would inspire you. You must have been getting inspired every week or every time there was a concert on at the Bletchley Youth Club. So it was the list: Genesis, Status Quo, carry on. I mean,
there was Stackridge, Mock the Hoople.
Everyone did it. Everyone did.
Just about everybody. I think only Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin are the only ones that didn't come.
Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could
Black Sabbath. Loads of bands came. My favourite was a band called Nidrolog. The drummer was Nigel Pegram, who ended up running Pace Studios.
And Nigel Pegram made Stray's first flashing light box.
Instead of got another added to the.
And he came down. It was either with Mick Box or David Barham, because Nigel used to play with a man called Spice.
Yes.
Which became Uriah Heep.
Who also played at the youth club.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant.
He was going to be one of in the Small Faces. He was telling us when we were doing the recording that.
What, Nigel?
Nigel said, he was offered the job with the Small Faces. He said he didn't think the name was good.
I couldn't see Nigel in the Small Faces somewhere.
Well, but he was little. And, he didn't like
such
the
a
name,
nice personality, such a nice guy.
Went to Kenny Jones.
Rough around the edges of Small Faces, weren't they? Just quickly coming back to you, but you've been in a lot of bands. Any dressing up stories that you regret or you were proud of? I think I remember seeing you once, as in sort of like Clockwork Orange sort of type feel at Open University, I think. But anything there or were you just straight jeans, long hair and a t-shirt, we're not getting dressed up, we're into our art?
Yeah, well, I'm a huge fan of Zell Clemenson with the Alex Harvey band, and he used to use face paint.
Yeah.
So about 6 or so months after starting Scratch, I decided I'll do that. I put the white face paint on, and the Channel 40 did video one of the gigs, and when I saw it, I got the face turned down, so it looks like I'm a real miserable git. But
yeah, he was the other way around.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I copied that for a while, and but it was such a fag, so
it just went back.
In the end, I stopped doing it.
Great, okay, right, guitars. I want to talk guitars. So again, still with this relevant in August this month. I was really interested to see the story. We'll do a little spot on this. Mick Taylor of the Rolling Stones Met Museum in New York, proudly displayed. We've got the 1959 Gibson, previously owned by Keith Richards, has been donated to the museum. But Mick Taylor, Rolling Stones guitarist, in case anybody doesn't know, of the late 60s, early 70s period, said, hang on a minute, Keith gave me that guitar and it was sort of stolen. It's my guitar. And he got in touch with the museum, but they're not having any of it. It's going to be contested, and I thought it was a bit sad, actually. I'm thinking I can understand why they might be contesting it, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty but one, if you're claiming it's Keith Richards' guitar, which they are, to get the sort of, I don't know, to get people to go to the museum, then I think if a fellow Rolling Stones musician, well, most remember Keith's still alive, he can verify this. You know, says, hang on a minute, he gave me that in '67, he apparently gave it to him. Can I have it back, please? You think that'd be enough, but apparently not. And Del, you've had some guitars. You've had some guitars stolen, but your famous Firebird. Is that right? I always go to say Thunderbird because I'm thinking of the car, but your you lost the guitar and you managed to get it back. Tell the story.
Well, I'm 90% sure it is my one that I got back. And 1972, I think it was. I was on tour and I played at the Newcastle City Hall, and somebody walked into the back of the dressing room and casually picked the guitar up and took it out. We lost a couple of guitars that night, actually, but the Firebird was a very special guitar, more so at that time, because in the early 70s there weren't that many around. Interesting fact about it was that I bought it because a couple of years before that I'd done a show with Traffic, and I saw Steve Winwood using a green Firebird, and it sounded fantastic. Ironically, a little while after, I had my Fender guitar stolen from the group van was broken into, so I had to go and look for a new guitar. So I went to, as many musos in London did at the time, went to Top Gear in Denmark Street, and hanging up on the wall there was a Pelham Blue Gibson Firebird. I had to have it. So that was the one that got stolen a couple of years after that. I found out when I was doing some research around that time that Steve Winwood also had his Firebird stolen.
Wow.
I believe Eric Clapton had one stolen as well, and one or two others, and it was almost like they were stealing these Firebirds and certain guitars to order. And somebody said to me, well, you won't get that back, it's probably been shipped out, painted a different colour, and he was quite right. I never got it back. I did get another Firebird in the end, and it was almost like that the Firebird guitar had become synonymous with me, so I kept using that. So wind the clock forward about 10 years ago, I think it was.
So that's about
50 years later.
50 years later, we're talking.
50 years later.
Still missing for all these years.
I don't know why. I have no idea why I do that, because I'm not one who looks through the internet and stuff. I happened to come across, for sale, Gibson Firebird, and there was just something about this picture. Don't know why, it just drew me into it, because it wasn't the same colour. It wasn't a Pelham Blue Firebird, but and it's also, by instruments, it's a 1967, so it's not. It's in itself a 67 Firebird's valuable. So when I got a close up on the screen, I thought, it's got this like lines in it, and if you can imagine scouring wood and then spraying it, you're always going to get that thing, and that was one of the reasons I got the guitar a little bit cheaper in the first place, because of this.
Right.
But it was just plain wood. So got onto the guy who owned it. He was only a young guy, and he, I didn't steal it. So no, we don't think you did, but I think it might be mine. Can I come and have a look? And I went and have a look. I didn't have the serial number anymore, so I couldn't quantify it. But when I picked it up, I just felt like it was mine. I contacted Gibson, and the guy, Stan at Gibson, didn't have the record for it specifically, but he said to me, it's the same batch that came over. He said, I think it's a very good chance it might well have been your one. Brilliant. So after all those years, I think I got my... I'm sure it is mine. I'm sure it is mine.
Well, you would know. I was just going to say that feeling. It's weird. You're a guitarist as well, but for a drummer, we don't hug sort of snare drums or bass drums. But I'm just getting a feeling there must be some otherness than you hold.
When I put my hands on it, I'm thinking, she's come home.
Yeah, that's what I'm on about. You know.
Yeah, even though the machine heads have been changed and it was a different colour, it just, I'm sure it's right. I mean, I've somewhere probably in all my boxes of stuff I've got memorabilia, I probably will find the diary which has got the serial number written on it, but I'm sure it's mine.
Brilliant. Sorry, the one I've really put, George Harrison had his stolen in 70, and it took him about 15 years to get it back from a guy. Ended up in Mexico, like you say, shipped to America, sold at a shop.
Oh yeah, that was his
red Les Paul.
That's what I didn't mention. The young guy bought it in New York a few years before.
He got his back. He had to pay for it, which was like, he must have been a bit short, George, bless him, because he had to trade in a Les Paul, a Fender bass, position bass, to sweeten the deal. But and of course the famous one recently, I want to come on to the best one in a minute, was Paul McCartney's Hofner, which again 50 years, stolen after the filming of Let It Be, Get Back, whichever way you want to call it. Thought he'd seen the last bit, and then after, I think...
Is that right? The guy had stuck in a case in the loft or something?
Yeah, and that's never really gone how he got it. I don't think he was the guy who obviously stole it. And there was a national sort of newspaper campaign. It came round every sort of 10 years going, if you've got Paul McCartney's bass, just probably regenerating a story as a journalist. Without do, we'll put that in today. And then someone finally looked at it and think, hang on a minute, that looks like the one that's in the loft. And... how much money is that worth? But apparently they contacted. There's no mention of,
I don't know if you can put a price on it, really.
That's got to be one of
the piano,
most priceless musical instruments. Would you agree, Pete? One of the most, priceless musical instruments in the history of music, I should think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say.
So I'm hoping they got a drink out of it. Yeah. I'm sure Paul.
I think Paul did actually give the family something.
He mustn't he? Doing it. But then my favourite story is Peter Frampton.
That's unbelievable.
This story is amazing. Pete doesn't know about this story. Got this guitar. It's a custom Gibson. I think it had something you might know about it, though. You want to elaborate quickly on it. It was a custom. What was the custom?
He was doing a show. I think he was playing an SG or something, Gibson SG, in America, and a guy come along, and he said to Peter Frampton, he said, I think you'd be better if you had a guitar like this. And he pulled out this Gibson Les Paul. And he said to Peter Frampton, "Oh, you can have it." And he put another pickup on it, which was unusual because they only had two pickups.
Yeah.
They had three.
That's it, yeah.
So he ended up using the Les Paul.
Yeah. So it was Frampton Come Alive. It's on the cover.
It's on the cover.
All the great songs he did. But sadly, he was en route to Panama on an aeroplane, and the plane crashed, along with all the band's gear. And I must say, just in case, some people died on that plane, so I don't want to make any jokes about that or laugh about that, because that's pretty tragic. Which is what Peter Frampton said, and obviously it was the guitar. And he actually sent his roadie down to the crash site. I don't know if it was the day after, but he does say he was very sensitive about it, because people, you don't want to be screaming about a guitar when people lost their lives. And he got down there, apparently all the amps were burnt, but no sign of the guitar, just presumed it had burnt. And then it's 31 years later it turned up and he got it back. Unbelievable. Like I just said, it was all scratched, and again, like yours, I think something had been changed, some machine heads. And he said he didn't want to clean it up, didn't want to do anything. He just literally just got it working, because he didn't want to change it.
Apparently, I don't know if you heard that bit, but he was saying that somebody went to the crash site, picked up the guitar case, didn't even look inside it.
Oh, right.
Picked up the guitar case and took it home. Same scenario, sort of that. And it was, I think it was the son of the fella who found the guitar case. He was interested in guitars and opened it up, and I thought,
hang on,
hello, what do I got here?
It was on sort of Caribbean island. It's a little Caribbean island. Where
so he's contacted. I don't know if it's a record label or Peter Frampton management, saying, I think I've got your guitar, and it was still covered in dust and
But he's playing it again. But there you go. We're finished with our guitar stories. With my last one of the dates of this time, this month, etc., etc. All You Need Is Love. 1967 was number one.
I've got my Beatles t-shirt.
Yeah, and you got the Beatles t-shirt. And I was just thinking, what a song! And apparently, they knew they were going to do this worldwide broadcast. And I think what we've all got to remember here, and especially our beautiful, young, good-looking, handsome producer here, is there was a time before YouTube when if you wanted to reach the world, it was quite a struggle.
Yeah.
And this was the first ever worldwide broadcast. I mean, we'll take it for granted now, don't we? We can. This show, we go out and just put it up, and anyone around the world can watch it. But it was a massive thing, really important. And they asked the Beatles to do it, which they would. And what makes me laugh in it is that they kept Brian Epstein going, "You got a song ready yet?" No, we'll do it. It's like 2 weeks before they needed to do the song. And he goes, any news, boys? You can imagine Brian in his suit. Boys.
I suppose there's no chance you've got a new tune, have you?
And then sort of John went, all right, I'll knock something up. And he just, and like, we were talking last week with Martin Snopes about writing to order.
Yeah.
That period, again, of the that's so prolific in, always do. But then just to go, all right then, Brian needs a song, what should we do then? And the actual song is just like, you couldn't talk about meeting a brief. This is a song that's going around the world. Hey Jude wouldn't have resonated as much, which I think is their greatest single. But it was just perfect. Perfect timing.
The actual
you can imagine,
topic.
Again, Brian Epsom, when he actually heard it, that'll do. It wasn't please mate. It wasn't like about them. It was about the world. And Lennon just absolutely smashed the brief. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was a great event. I remember watching it.
Really?
It was like
I think
something that's on, and you have to watch it.
Yeah, no videoing.
There's nothing else. You get so little pop music or rock music on TV back then that if there was an event like that, my God, you watched it.
Yeah. You watch it, Dale?
Yeah, I remember it sitting in my mum and dad's front room. Interesting enough, because I remember, I think we talked about Hey Jude. I remember going to. I
remember Hey Jude. I don't really remember.
Well, I remember. Funny, I was out for the day, and I remember we went to Broadstairs, and I thought I've got to get home because the Beatles are on.
Yeah.
David Frost with Hey Jude, and then I was out for the day somewhere else. It might have been somewhere like Kew Gardens or somewhere, but I had to get back in the evening because the Beatles were on All You Need Is Love.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my mum and dad's front room watching it. Anything to do with Beatles, I was just.
Yeah, I just think as a single it gets overlooked. I don't know why. I just think, people go, singles, this and that, and I was thinking, actually, for what it was and for the time it came out and the amount of time it took them to write it and all that, I'd stand by my Hey Jude as my favourite Beatles single, but it tends to, people look at it as a sort of a throwaway song, but then when you really hear it and analyse it, and Elvis Costello's done, there's some great cover versions of it as well.
Elvis Costello did it at Live Aid.
Yeah,
introduced it as a Northern love song.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was great. Perfect time. Gets overlooked. Has anyone really matched that? I'm trying to think. Has that moment? I suppose Live Aid really came close to sort of being a collective moment. Did you watch it? Like we were talking about it last week because that's sort of been its anniversary.
Live Aid, yeah. Well, I watched it at the time. I watched the first bit, but then we were playing a ceilidh at Watling Way School, and but there was a telly in the staff room, so we were watching it. We saw David Bowie, and I was amazed. I'm sure that says Neil Conti on the drums. We auditioned Neil Conti about 10 years before, when he was like 15, and we didn't give him the job, so he had a career.
Okay, right. Good one. All right, different subject. I've been wanting to talk about this one for a while. AI is coming. AI is coming. I'm actually involved in an AI project at the moment, and I've got to say, it is really exciting. As a creative, I'm finding it, really, really exciting. I won't go into detail what it is, but I can say, and I think I might have said this to Dale, and I want to run it past you, Pete, because you're not a bigger fan of Spotify and perhaps some of the social media stuff or that kind of thing. You like these kinds of things still on that, which I appreciate and whatever, but I think the future sadly, when all our legends have rested up or just too tired to go on, I think there'll be official Rolling Stones AI avatar tours. I think the ABBA show in London at the moment is a bit like watching Tommy Steele in the the coffee house in Soho. Yeah, it's fantastic. I've heard it's really fantastic, but I think the pace, I'm working with AI at the moment, and the guy I'm working with is well on it, and he's creating some amazing stuff, but he's just saying every month is like a year in any other industry. He said, I learned something, and then the next month it just gets easier and it gets better. And I'm just thinking about that. I was surprised at the amount of money being spent by organisations, I won't name them, on buying back catalogues of people. Yeah. Rolling Stones, Bowie got huge amounts of money. I'm thinking, why? Because we're all listening to it for free, basically, or £5, £10 a month to Spotify. And I just think they're ahead of the game. they're ahead of the game, thinking. And I would actually, I'm a big fan of the Who, big fan of the Beatles, and if it was an official tour and it had all the stage and all the tech, a bit like the Sphere in Las Vegas, I don't know if you've seen that page, what goes on there, and I'm thinking, yeah, I would pay probably 200 quid to go and watch the official avatar of the Who, and it could go all through the periods, all the different periods, and the most important bit for me is that it's the original music playing. I just think it's another module to play the original music of the bands. Over to you guys, what do you think?
That doesn't appeal to me, I'm afraid.
No, it wouldn't, no.
I don't like.
You want to see the person.
I don't like tribute bands. I mean.
No, but see, this isn't a tribute band, is it? If it's the original recordings of the Rolling Stones and they've remixed them, and then with their permission, it's an avatar created how they want it. Isn't that still the Rolling Stones?
I suppose it's great for somebody who's young, but when I was young, I saw it for real.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, it can't be as good as it's real, as in Oasis have just proved.
That was my experience, and so I've got that. So I guess it's a brilliant marketing idea, and there's my son who's 26. I mean, he'd probably love it. He'd go for it.
But for you personally,
I mean, no, I don't think I'd want to.
You wouldn't want to go. No, what about you, Del?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. I mean, once things are invented, they can't be uninvented, as it were. And I think I can actually see in years to come what you're saying, like an ABBA thing. I can.
I'm talking
if I live long
10,
enough,
15 years. I'm not talking.
If I live long enough, I'll put money on there will be a Beatles one.
Yeah.
People
will want to see, I mean, the kids in school now, they're singing Yellow Submarine, aren't they?
Yeah,
the kids
absolutely.
The kids are singing the Beatles songs in school, and I can actually see that. I guess my dad, if he'd have been alive, he'd love to have seen the Glenn Miller band.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I suppose it's a generational thing. The only fear I have with AI is that it loses the soul of the human being creating something.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
It can only copy or replicate. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if it uses the original music, I'm comfortable. What I don't like, and I think you've only got to go on YouTube and you get John Lennon singing Bohemian Rhapsody done by it's got more hits than us, but it's not changing the world.
No.
And I think, and it'd be interesting. I like the Who and the Beatles and the Stones and the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten, more for as much as for the people in the band, the musicians in the band, than as well as the music. It's an integral part. It's not just. There's plenty of bands. I like that song, Edwin Starr. I like that song. I'm not really into Edwin Starr, but when it comes to, I think, your favourite bands, like my brother with Gary Newman, he loves Gary Newman. If Gary Newman put an acoustic Simon and Garfunkel album out, he'd think it's fantastic because he likes Gary Newman. Well, if Gary wants to do that, I'm going to like it as well. And I think that's the thing with AI, that there's been a few dabbles of the Steve Marriott thing that came up a few months ago last year about recreating a new album off some demos that he'd done using AI. No, I'm not into that, and I don't think I'm alone. I think, would you agree on that?
Yeah, but when Dennis Potter died in 1994, he produced these two plays, and the second one was Cold Lazarus, and there's an organisation called RON, Reality or Nothing, and I think that's where I'm coming from.
Right, okay.
I want something real. One of my best gigs I've ever been to was Sting at the Radio Theatre, and we're as close to him as we are to Handsome Chris over there. And that's what I want to see. I don't want to go and see a screen half a mile away, and I don't think I want to see an avatar, even if...
It just wouldn't engage?
No, not for me, but I can understand that anybody who hasn't been fortunate enough to grow up with these people... I mean, my oldest daughter died was born before John Lennon died.
Right.
So I remember thinking, oh my goodness, she's never going to be alive when John Lennon was alive. And but for somebody like that to see an AI version, I mean, but you've always got the music.
The music's not going anywhere. I just think it's a way of playing you. If it's been officially tag, shall we say? And it's I'd say when I saw the Sphere in Las Vegas, I just thought, well, something's going on here. This is going to change. This is a game changer.
Yeah.
Because I've said it before, and people, I'm saying it's very small here. If people can be listening on just audio, as in the band were like little matchstick men in the corner, and then there was this huge visual explosion going 360 around you, and the band might have not been there. Yeah, seriously. It just is. I mean, I get what you're saying. That you're sitting 4 rows back from Sting, but there must be 10,000 people. It's like what, but. How close can you get? I mean, you go to Glastonbury now or any big festival, and you saw Iron Maiden. You're all basically watching the screens.
Yeah,
you're not really seeing. It's lovely if you can, get them first 20 foot where you can check the eyebrows on your favourite rock star. But for most of us, you're just literally watching the bands on the screen. So for me, I think that's why it's a natural progression.
With AI in music, I think the root of all this is. And it applies to tribute acts, however you feel about tribute acts. The root of it is that people want to hear the music.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to create an avatar of it, it's never not going to happen.
No.
It's here. It'll happen. And you've got a choice. You either go and buy into it and watch it, or you don't. But I think the important thing is the music, and Beatles songs like Beethoven and Bach, they'll be going for years to come, and people might just I wonder what they look like.
Yeah.
And they won't be playing Hard Day's Night on Help on the television so much. They want something else.
Okay, quickly, the demise of posters. Okay. I used to love band posters.
Yeah.
And have we lost it? There's two things I want to. I'll talk about posters, and I want to talk about radio, which we'll bring in our producer as well, because he's a radio man. But I miss even just going around here. We're in the city centre up in Milton Keynes, and there was a time, and you remember, probably even before the 70s and the 80s, when I was sort of going, and you got to know about bands through posters.
Yeah.
And especially if the posters were cool or good, and you're thinking, oh, they must be good. It's like a statement, a bit like a photo, really. And it's a shame that art form. So I suppose it's now being AI created and putting on Facebook, but there's something about an A3 poster or even bigger that think great.
Promoters and venues did it, but you've also. I've only just realised it. I'm sitting here talking to you that it was with my band in the 70s and on other bands. It was part of your merch. You had your own posters printed up, and you sent them to we sent them to our agent, and quite often you had, depending on what sort of poster you wanted. Yeah. Sometimes you kept the box on the bottom so they could write in.
Yeah, I've done that. I did them in a collective. Yeah.
That was part of the merch.
We used to go fly posting all around the city. Yeah, I remember
seeing a scratch.
Yeah, I'd jump out the van. Mike would be driving it, and I'd paste it. Put PVA with the glue as well. Yeah, it stays on for longer.
All posters will be prosecuted.
Yeah. And sometimes we come round, and I remember getting really cross once because one of them had already been taken down. So put a replacement staple gun as well.
You have rival bands that was going round to take them down and put their one up.
They had in London. They had almost a kind of like a mafia thing going on.
Yeah,
for people paying.
Yeah.
To have their posters put up, and if they didn't get put up, they were taken down.
Well, I remember that in Edinburgh when the Blues Collective went to Edinburgh Festival.
We got in trouble with the stables when we did a gig, one of our many gigs there, and we got a call saying, you put some up in Bedford High Street, and you need to go and take them down. So we had to go the next night.
I had that here actually. I did some bus stops here in the city centre, and someone from the council. I said, I don't know anything about it. I don't know. Must be a fan. So I just got out of it. So I don't know who done it. I don't know. It must have been the venue. Yeah. I mean, poor Chris Kemp probably got it in the neck from the pits or something, But there was always a way around it. But Edinburgh was that's a big deal, like you're saying. You had to pay money, and we didn't bother. We had no money to pay it, but that was total warfare up there. Any spare wall when the Edinburgh Festival was going on. This case, for listeners, of a certain age, there was no internet. It was literally bought a brochure for the Edinburgh Fringe or your newspapers here, and it was a great medium. And I'm just thinking, it's a shame really, because That was a great fun bit. And your logo, Stray.
Yeah.
What a great logo. How did that come about? Because that's ahead of its time. It was a great logo.
Yeah, I don't... Do you know, we don't know. It was one of those things where... I still don't even know that... I can't remember the name of the guy who created it, but that was... We had our own logo at the time, which was nothing like that one. And it was the first album was being brought out. And they had this idea to make the front cover a stencil.
Right.
And their designer for the record label come up with that. And it's kind of stuck, you know. And
it stood the test of time. I mean, it's up there. It's a rock and roll icon, isn't it? It's an icon.
And the funny thing is, if you've got that white album in good condition, it's worth a lot of money now.
Really?
on eBay, the original one. But so many of them, they got mucked up, putting them back in, and it ripped the stencil, so it ended up just being like a big hole. So a lot of people, you know, the amount of times I get people come along to the gigs, can you sign this for me? And it's a flipping great big hole in the middle.
Oh, bless it.
Yeah, but if you got a good one,
but it's great fun. I remember him. Yeah, Dylan Jevons, a really good friend of mine, was a graphic designer, and all the bands were in it. It was part of being in a band, people, wasn't it? Because you made your own posters. Most couldn't afford people, graphic designers. Didn't want to know about bands in them days. So
I wish I'd kept all the posters from the youth club days, because I had two of them signed. One had Wishbone Ash and Van de Graaff Generator on it, and the other one was the Strawbs supporting Kevin Ayres, and they had Mike Oldfield on bass with Kevin Ayres, and Rick Wakeman was playing with the Strawbs. And for some bizarre reason, I decided to cut round all the autographs and put them in an envelope, because storage, and never seen that envelope since.
Oh, it's a shame. It's a shame. I was going to talk about radio. I'm going to come back. It's going to be another fishing trip, that one. I'm going to we'll put that one to one side. I'm going to go back to August. We've been talking about, because I know Del's got a great story and I want to get it out of him. It's been the anniversary of Who's Next, the album. Who's Next came out 71. Would you say it's their best album, Del? It's a tough one, because the other two are rock operas, and Live at Leeds is a live one.
I always liked the first one.
No, really?
With Legal Matter, you know. Although the early Who stuff, I really love all that. You know.
See, I like the. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to love all the Who, but I do find it a little bit frustrating, a bit like early Small Faces stuff that you just feel. I wish George Martin had produced these. You know, they just weren't as well produced. Though saying that, I did say the other week, didn't I? I went to, it just proves my culture here, Mr. Lockwood, that I went to a ballet in London at Sadler's Wells. It's about quadrophenia. But I did say there, didn't I, that they played the original recording of Talking About My Generation as an instrumental, and it sounded amazing. And I thought, why didn't it sound like that when I played it at home, you know, all those years ago? But it was, again, probably mixed for mono, probably mixed for AM radio. But as a guitarist, did that excite you, that album then? The first album?
Yeah.
Or just as a musician?
What was quite unusual is, at that time, it was kind of, Townsend used a 12-string Rickenbacker guitar on that.
Yeah.
Which was quite unusual. I mean, prior to that, he hadn't been using the Rickenbacker, but why he used it on that, I don't know. You know, sort of, I can't explain, and I can go anywhere, anyway, anyhow, anywhere.
Yeah.
That was all on there, and this is right. Now, normally, I'll say generally, prior to that, the 12-string was a gentle, folky instrument. He's come on and given it all that.
Apparently,
you know.
I think he liked it because it just feedback all the time. It was just feeding back all the time, so it was a nightmare. But he made that part of the stage act. Who's Next? Was that you a fan of that album, Pete?
Yeah, I like it. It's not my favourite. I mean, my mate Steve Cobham lived around the corner. Was in the first band I was in. He used to bring My Generation round, and this one, the Blues Breakers album.
Yeah, that's a big guitar album.
I actually preferred that one.
Yeah, we did talk about that album with Terry Marshall, so I'm not going to go into it, because if you want to know about how we felt, and I mean, obviously you're a big fan of that album. Here it is. Where's that camera? Hold it up to the camera again. We talked about that album and the importance of the guitar sound.
Check out the podcast with Terry Marshall.
On it. Here's one. How do you think a band gets signed nowadays? Because I haven't got a clue anymore. We come from an era where there was a system.
Yeah.
You play, and Del, you've got the best example. Your band was a covers band, and then from there you got. Tell us how you got signed as in the progression, and I think it's what I'm trying to say. There was a progression.
Well, we're going back when we were kids, really, and indirectly it was through Love Affair, the band Love Affair.
Right, yeah.
So we're talking it's 1968, and they had Everlasting Love in the charts, and their sort
baseline.
Well, their thing really was that they were young. They were all 17 years old. So we were 16.
Right.
15 years old, 16 years old. And we started playing in this local social club. And the press come down. Maybe somebody said, "Oh, there's a young kids playing this." So we had a thing in the local Acton Gazette, West London. Will it be Love Affair for the Strays? I've got the press cutting still.
Right.
And two guys. One was Peter Amott, who had some association with the Who fun enough, and Ivan Mant. They were looking at managing a band.
Yeah.
So they came along with us, and we, through their musical, experience, because Pete was a drummer, funnily enough, surrounded by drummers again, in a band called The Footprints, who done a lot with As They Were the High Numbers, the Who, and they knew them. He wanted to concentrate on management. Ivan was the man with all the ideas, pyrotechnics and all that sort of thing. And with them, we developed, we called it the stage act.
And then what I'm saying is there was just steps, wasn't there? You just played better clubs, and then
we just played better clubs. Started to get the following. Posters were put up.
Yeah.
They used to. The other thing is, Melody Maker, for example, was like Bible. In London, if you're going to see where the band's on, what our managers used to do, which was quite a prudent thing, invested in, if you like. If they always used to find out if the club is going to put in an advert. Yeah. If they didn't put it in, if the club wouldn't put it in, Peter and Ivan
would put it in.
Put adverts. So if you get some of the old Melody Makers in the 70, 71, 72, every page you open is straight everywhere. And a lot of that, it was our management investing in it. So people just got, well, who is this? And we're going.
This is what I'm on about. The system. It was there, wasn't it? There was ways. Ways, and I'm thinking probably the last time and it's a system that lasted and served well for a long, long time. There's always great stories about an but I think one of the greatest is Alan McGee going up to see a different band, an old friend of his who used to work with, a girl singer or something, and going up to Glasgow, walks in and there's Oasis on stage, and he just and the rest is now history. But the system was still there, as in he's found these, like you're saying, young band, right, come with me, stick them on 10 quid a week, 5 quid a week, just bread and butter money and some beer and fags, But there was this system in place where, we'll get them that gig, get them some photos, get them that, Now, I've spoke to a band the other way, I won't mention them, they've always been very aspirational. They're trying to get to where you can get to, as in you don't have to pay for recording. I want a recording contract. They've massed up, they've invested in themselves, and they got 150,000 views on one song, which I think is really clever. I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong. That's a gold disc, isn't it? In the 60s and the 70s. So they've done that all on their own back, and they've met some record companies, and they're saying, no, we don't sign anyone unless they've got 1 million streams. And I'm thinking, well, why would you need a record company if you've got 1 million streams? But that process, and they're just saying we don't know what to do. There's we send stuff over, an email now. You don't have to send the old cassette with a bunch of chocolates in it and a fiver in the. Can you sign us up, please? Kind of thing, I will tell you something about that. Remind me about that because it's John Peel. But I'm just wondering. I'm thinking, Del. I want to try and get an A&R man on in the next couple of weeks and say, right, what is the system and how does he spot the bands? He or she spot the bands now? Do they just sit on YouTube and look at the highest hits? It's amazing. I mean, you knew that process, but you must have gone through it, sending stuff out.
We never got any responses. We did get a cassette back from John Peel about 5 years after we'd sent it, and he just wrote a little letter, is anyone still there? Returning your cassette.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Peel, I've got to just quickly, it's a nice little story. When I started my own little record company, Backbeat Records, Pete really helped me with it in the papers and give me a lot of publicity and that sort of thing. So I sent an EP down to John Peel, hoping he would play it. And I heard he likes onion bhajis. So he likes an Indian, so I wrapped up some onion bhajis. Like it was sealed. Sorry, they weren't just like some. I've gone down the local shop from Marks and Sparks. So I wrapped them up, put I sadly only put one EP in it, and this is why. And I sent it down, and anyway, about 10 o'clock one night, we're sitting there, and the phone goes. I'm thinking, it was quite frequent then, collective doing it. People did actually use phones, and you did get phone calls at that time. Now, it'd frighten the life out of you. You got your home phone, man. And I rang it up, turned the music down, we were listening to something, and he goes, "Is that Lee?" I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, it's John." I went, "Yeah." He went, "No, it's John Peel." I went, "Really?" he said, "Oh, thanks for the barges, but by the way, I can't play the EP. It's got a jump on it, and you used to get a bad pressing." I couldn't believe it. And it's like, "Oh no!" And then so I said, "I'll get one down here tomorrow. I'll send it recorded delivery." But that just shows you the measure of the man, doesn't it? Like, he just rang me. I mean, you could hear his music playing in the background. So he must have been doing his show because he was on at night, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And actually, I will talk about radio because actually we've come round to it. And another thing I missed from posters, and Chris can shoot me down here, and that, it's a sad. I find it. How do you get to know new music? We're just talking about an AR man knowing music because of the Facebooks and the algorithms. We get noticed when the Who are doing stuff, or Gentle Giant, which we still haven't mentioned. But your bands you like, you will get to know, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Keeps you in touch, but it's very difficult to surprisingly discover a new song. I can vividly remember in Eddie and the Hot Rods for the first time, Sex Pistols, the Specials, of my era on the radio. So it's quite a problem, isn't it? How do you just try and keep up with new music, Pete?
Not really. My son, he's always playing new stuff, and he'll come and say, I think you'll
get him on it.
Think
we'll have to get him on the show to find out, But I wonder how your son does. I don't know how people.
I don't know how you find.
Chris, come in. This is where we need the young expertise, someone of the age, to tell us. I mean, you love your music, Chris. Now, how do you become aware of great songs or new songs coming out by artists?
I think it's got to the point where a lot of radio is kind of following what everyone else is doing. So what gets played on the radio tends to be what's already popular rather than breaking new music. And there's a few radio stations that are really good for supporting upcoming artists, like Radio 1 and local BBC introducing. We have a local music show, but it's moving the music from local unsigned talent to mainstream is the big challenge. And
challenge, isn't it?
A lot of radio playlisters will just look at what everyone else is playing and just play the same sort of thing.
Well, so radio is a business. Let's make no bones about it. You don't, if people are tuning into a certain station that's heard a certain brand of music, that's why they're listening to the station. It never was that. I mean, you guys tell me. I mean, it was really sort of Radio Luxembourg late at night or John Peel late at night. It's never been the norm to suddenly break a new act, on the Terry Wogan show or Noel Edmonds show, was it? So it's not something that. But so just Annie Nightingale was the other one I used to listen to on a Sunday afternoon. But I just think it's difficult. But yes, as Chris is saying, it's amazing how some of these artists actually get to be Taylor Swifts and these kind of things. Because I just think, what is the system? What is the system they get there? It's quite interesting. But sorry, we're going to have to be educated.
It's changed so much. I mean, I was chatting to, funnily enough, last night I was on an hour's conversation to the boss of a record label. And we were just talking about stuff, as it were, and but I don't think, and I can almost feel that A&R men are almost redundant because I don't know what they do anymore. Because once upon a time, you used to get A&R guys going around the venues, and finding bands and sign them up. And the thing was, which is different, back in the old days, is that they didn't always expect them to be a hit on the first one.
No.
You know, it was. I mean, my first album deal was like 3 years and 3-year deal with 2 1-year options, because they planned on maybe after the third album
you get there.
You get there, and there was all this investment. You know, any of them, Sting, Elton John, anyone who was big, they had the same treatment. And
there's normally 3 albums,
and I don't think A&R men really know how to do it these days. They could do it with the best will in the world, but it's a slog. It's a different way of doing it. I mean, if you're an influencer for some reason and you get millions of hits, then you're on the way. You know, like I don't know. You say about what's her name? Taylor Swift.
Wow.
You know, a lot of these people they had the internet following first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then a record company pick them up. But I'd just be very interested. It's just sort of thrown it out there initially, and so I would want to come back to come get an A&R person in from a record company and just explain the process now, because they must play a major part. There must be parts that a record company still play.
It must be so difficult.
But it's very. I think it's such a sea change. It'd be interesting for me. I think it'd be interesting for our listeners to find what the demands are and what they have to, and their creativity to break new acts through. So we'll do that. But just quickly getting back to Who Next, the one thing I wanted to point out about that, and it leads, I want to get Del's story before we go, because I did tease you that Del had one of his classic stories. Recorded at Olympic Studios.
Oh yeah.
And but one thing I want to say about Who's Next before we go about Olympic Studios is that the track listing on Who's Next, I think, is a great example of the art form, which I know is close to your art, and perhaps close to your art, Pete, is in how much thought went into where the tracks would be. We did the double white the other week, and it was a real struggle to take away, which is, so when you can now make it a single album, which is what George Martin wanted to do on the double white, and we all struggled.
What do you leave off and what do you put in what order?
What do you leave on? And I've got to say, when I was a real Who fan and wanted them to be loud and smash everything, I was thinking, why didn't they put Join Together on it, and why didn't they put Let's See Action on it, why didn't they put Relay on it? I don't want Love Ain't For Keeping and Getting In Tune, I want rock and roll, but now I really appreciate what the producer did and laid it out brilliantly. Who's the producer, Del? Help me out here. Got it? I'll find it. But yeah, how well he laid out the track listing, and Did you agree that's quite an important thing of album making, wasn't it, Del, back in the day? Yeah,
but the order that you put the stuff in and what follows what is crucial.
So it was a journey, wasn't it? It was a 45-minute journey.
And it's a shame that young people now just will select one track on the download.
This is what we would
and they don't hear what the artist intended, being a sequence of tracks.
Yeah.
I'll just have that one,
It's a different skill set now, isn't it, for the writer as well. But so Olympic Studios, I've been lucky enough to show my film there now, because it's a cinema. I was tingling when I was walking around that building, I'm telling you, knowing what's been in. But Del, you recorded there, and you came close. I think you came close, or you actually, I know there's a story about Jeff Beck with yourself at the studio, and this will be our last story, so you can put the kettle on now and get ready.
That wasn't Olympic, that was different studio.
Oh, was it? Sorry. I thought it was Olympic. But anyway, tell the story.
Olympic was exciting because you just knew that you're walking on the floorboards, the walls of stuff, and people, like engineers, would be in there and they would be saying, you'd be, I was about 19 years old when I first went in there, 1920, playing, and it was like, Keith Richard been in all night. Keith Richard's been in here, and I think I've mentioned this before, maybe on air, that I remember going in there and I had to double check when I was writing my autobiography that I got the date right, because we went in there to record, it was the Suicide album, and we walked in and there was I'm sure it was a white Hammond organ with a couple of Leslie cabinets around it, and I said, who's that? And I said, Stephen Stills has been in recording, and it was right because he was over at that time staying at Ringo's place. He was saying it, and so Steve was, and McCartney's been in, and it was all this, and you want to breathe it in,
Yeah,
but the Jeff Beck story was really funny. I was at Escape Studios, and it was just up the road from his house, and I was doing my first solo single after Stray, doing the demos in the studio, and it must have been about 10 o'clock in the evening. Got a phone call from Ted, who was the studio owner. Are you finished, Del? So I said, yeah, just about finished now. So he said, Jeff's coming down with some friends. If you could sort of get your stuff away. So we packed all the gear up, put it in the van. I had a 3-piece, bass and drums with me. And they all went back into the accommodation, which was an old Oast house. And I'm in the studio. So I walked from the studio across to the Oast house accommodation. I've looked up the hill. I can see a set of car headlights coming down the hill, followed by another one and another one. And I counted 14 sets of car lights coming down the country lane into there. And I said, guys, we're going to have to move soon. I said, Jeff Beck's coming down. So Jeff Beck's come in the studio, and he was quite clearly not interested in the entourage that he had with him. As we said, they were just leaguers. And there was a couple of guys with acoustic guitars. They went and sat in a corner. Jeff came straight over to me and to the bass player and the drummer. What are you doing, guys? I said, well, we've been recording what's hopefully is going to be a single for me. And I said, where's all your gear? I said, well, we've just packed it away. He said, it's a shame, we could have maybe had a jam tonight. No. And we said, it'd be nice, but we got to go anyway, we're a bit tired now. And I can remember getting in the van, driving home, and all of a sudden this voice in the back went, for fuck's sake!
What have you done?
So what? He said, what have we done? We just said no to Jeff Beck. Yeah. We didn't think, that's all right, we'll go and get the guitars out.
We'll go
and get them out again. It was, no, we've got to go home. A bit tired now.
Never mind the trouble.
Kettle's on.
So following last week, we didn't bother seeing Bruce Springsteen over the road. You preferred to go to the bar. And now you got offered a jam with Jeff Beck, and you turned that down. Legend, ladies and gentlemen. Legend. People haven't mentioned, you're still doing all your music, and you love music, and I must mention this because you've gone into schools as well teaching music. Is that still continuing at schools? It's something we could go on forever about how important music is to enrich your life, but is it still there? Has it still been?
I'm not sure because I don't teach anymore. I retired, but I did start a community samba band a few years ago with a lad who was in my very first class.
Nice.
So we could do some percussion together, and word has got around that I do a bit of samba drumming, and I went into Radcliffe School in the summer for their culture day.
Oh, nice.
So I did samba with some. I've never done secondary teaching. Steer clear of it.
But
I did year 7 and year 8 samba, and they were great.
But you've always put something back in. That's why I opened it up, so I've got a lot of respect and a lot of admiration, because you have opened doors for me as a journalist, even though I can't spell journalist, and you've always been there for people. And but music wise, Cock and Ball Band, are they still going? Are you doing dates coming up? Great band, by the way. Go on. I know Pete's not a big fan of Spotify and YouTube, but I'm sure you can find them on Spotify.
We're not on Spotify. But we're on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, there you go. Yeah. Cock and Ball Band. If you like sort of contemporary folk music, shoot me down if I've got that wrong.
And we're on there. I got my own Bandcamp page with all my albums that I've done.
Great. How many are we up to now?
We've 9, I think, with 9 the band.
Albums. I've only done
probably
one.
More than Solstice.
Yeah.
So we got albums, and Togmore. I'm still. Can't believe I'm still drumming in Togmore.
Great, I'm still rocking. There's no more Togfest anymore, sadly. But
no, we had to
that's so difficult.
The weekend,
we could talk about
Cock and Ball were at Broadstairs. You were there, weren't you?
I've been Broadstairs.
We're at Broadstairs Festival last week.
Great.
Yeah, so we're still getting booked.
Well, thanks for stepping in. Just coming in and joining me and Del. Otherwise, we'd be here all day if we don't have someone to interrupt us. And thanks to our great young producers, kept us on our toes. We'll be back with another one soon.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
Yeah, cheers, Del. Cheers, Lee.